What is up, everybody, and welcome to Celtics Talk Weekly Postgame Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, aka Celtics Every Day on Instagram. Tonight, the Boston Celtics fall in a rough one. Real rough one. 115-96 against the Los Angeles Clippers. And the final score, although this was a 19-point win for the Clippers, this one was not close in any manner whatsoever. None. None at all. Because the early portion of this game, the Celtics, it took them 7 minutes to get over 10 points in this game. And although the Clippers were right there with them, it was only 11-9 at one point. And the Celtics, when they got over 10 points, it wasn't like they were completely out of the game. It wasn't like a 25-10 or 30-10 type of game. However, the Celtics, it was clear from the early portion of this game that it was not going to be like we saw in Miami, where the team shoots 55% from three, 22 of 40. Tonight, the team, oh my goodness, came crashing down to the ground. I mentioned last post game, yeah, we shoot 55%, and these are the nights we're going to get after shooting horrendously in the 30s against Denver, against Milwaukee. But what do we do tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers? Well, the Celtics come out and shoot 10 of 40 from three, 25%. I will disclaim the Clippers shot the exact same line, 10 of 40 as well. However, the Celtics, for a grand majority of this game, could not get a shot to fall, and defensively were completely picked apart by what I believe is now a title contending Clippers team. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. And I have some film to get to tonight. Not really film, playing film. I have pictures, hopefully pictures that will not get us in trouble, if you guys know what I mean. But in terms of the Celtics playing the Clippers tonight, I have a couple of breakdowns to get into about this game before we really go out and talk about it. Well, actually, let's first look at the lead tracker, because we always cover that first, and then we'll get into all the breakdowns, because, oh my goodness, these are just some of the most horrendous. This was one of the more horrendous performances of the entire season for the Celtics. And I'm just a little bit concerned because last game, the Celtics came out, shot the lights out in Miami. They were shooting over 70% for a grand majority of the game, shot 55% from three, and played very well that game against Miami. When Miami, they were coming off the second night of a back-to-back. They were on the second night of a back-to-back, rather, and they just were not as energetic, as engaged as the Celtics. And yet tonight, the Celtics play another team coming off a game last night against the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. The Los Angeles Clippers are on an East Coast road trip right now. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. And the Celtics, what do? They completely hand this game to the Clippers. And it's not even close. I mean, look at this lead tracker, guys. I know I'm putting it off just a minute, but oh my goodness gracious. This one, I mean, come on. Really? Really? Longest run, 21. Biggest lead, 36 for the Clippers. 36. Homage to Marcus Smart, but not in a good way, because it's not the Celtics putting up the biggest lead of the game at 36. It's the Clippers. And it's evident from this lead tracker what the problem was in this game. And, well, I shouldn't say what the problem was, but in terms of where this game went awry, and that was in the third quarter right after halftime. At half, it was fairly out of hand for the Celtics going into half. However, they still had a legitimate chance to hop back into the game, and it wasn't far out of reach by any manner whatsoever. And yet the Celtics, coming out of half, played their worst basketball of the night. They played their worst basketball of the night right out of half, and the Clippers sprinted ahead. You see a 30-plus point lead, like you mentioned earlier. 36, biggest lead. It's clear as day on screen. But this game clearly is the worst game of the season for the Celtics by a lot of metrics. And this lead tracker is the only one that looks like this is the Milwaukee one. And we threw out a lot of excuses for that one. We did. We came on here, Ian and I did post game after the Milwaukee Bucks game. We came on here and went, yeah, second night of a back-to-back for the Celtics. Not a big deal, right? Milwaukee, OT win against Minnesota the night before at the Garden. And are you kidding me? Second night of a back-to-back on national TV against the Bucks. That was not exactly the best of scheduling. But we handed out those excuses. I don't know what excuse to hand out tonight because this lead tracker looks just like that one in the opposite sense of the Celtics opponent taking over the lead and dominating the Celtics. However, the Celtics are coming off of 1 day's rest. They are coming back home after a 3-game set on the road in which they were on the road for about a week. That's the only circumstance you could point at and say, okay, maybe the Celtics aren't exactly rested. But I mentioned earlier, the Los Angeles Clippers are on an East Coast road trip, and this is the second night of a back-to-back for them. So to see them do this on a second night of a back-to-back, oh my goodness, folks. Oh my goodness. This one, the Celtics, this is their worst loss of the season by far. And I think what's very evident about this game is the fact that the Los Angeles Clippers are clear title contenders. Clear title contenders. This is no joke. This is not a circumstance where the Clippers come into the Garden and circumstantially beat us. And yes, there was no Porzingis tonight, and this is the first time I'm mentioning it. But the Clippers, the bodies they have on their roster right now, look up and down the Clippers roster. Okay, here's who played tonight for the Clippers. Let's just go up and down here. So Kawhi Leonard, let's start with him. He looks like 2019 Kawhi. This is his best season under his legs because we all know Kawhi has had a couple of injuries in regards to his knees, legs, not exactly been healthy. This is one of his healthiest seasons in the last 4 years, and he looks just as dominant as he did in 2019. And since that 2019 run, there have been moments where we've all looked at Kawhi and gone, I think this guy might be done. He might be done. He's still a star, can still bring you star intangibles, but he's not at the dominant level we talked about in 2019, where he joins the Los Angeles Clippers with Paul George simultaneously while LeBron and Anthony Davis team up with the Lakers. Anthony Davis, of course, being traded from the Pelicans that offseason. That we thought those days were done. But Kawhi, 10 of 15 tonight, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers, 3 of 5 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. And Kawhi Leonard didn't really break a sweat. And he is still the best player on this team. And the fact everyone around him on the team recognizes that this is his squad in terms of him being the most talented player on the squad and that they are all playing secondary roles and the respect that he demands on the squad right now as a veteran in the league with the experience under his belt, 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs, the way he's reemerging right now as the old Kawhi, which is now the new Kawhi, this is reason number 1 why the Clippers have a chance at the NBA title this year. But you go down the roster, it starts with Kawhi being back to form in which we all saw in the past. Well, Paul George, he was 5 of 11 tonight, 3 of 6 from 3, 5 of 11 from the field, that is, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 17 points. He's been great in his tertiary role with the Clippers this season. He has not demanded the ball excruciatingly to the point where, he's taking over the ball too much, or he's taking over too much usage, or he is playing too big of a role. He's playing the perfect tertiary role next to Kawhi Leonard, and he is accepting his role this season. And we all know Paul George is an all-star level of player. And his capabilities, especially offensively, he's such a smart player. We're going to get into it with a couple of these breakdowns. Like I said, not exactly videos, but pictures, right? So don't get in trouble by YouTube on here tonight. we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If you guys even see this video later on in time because of these breakdowns, but if they go right, they're going to be nice. But we'll get into it later on why he's such a smart player. And you go down the list. Well, in their starting lineup, of course, they acquired James Harden. James Harden is at a point in his career where I believe he's been scrutinized and kind of shoveled along to the point where he's made a lot of money in his career. Yes, he could have made a couple more $1 million in the back end of his deal with the Sixers if he didn't take a pay cut. He could be making more money with the Clippers later on in time. And I think he understands that within his situation right now, that that's going to happen for him because they're moving into a new arena next year. The talent that surrounds James Harden right now, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and even Russell Westbrook off the bench. Now, they don't play together very often, but all of the talent on this team, the Clippers have enough to win the title. And if James Harden slots into his role and not 2018-19 Houston James Harden, the way he would like to play, right? That deep down, Harden would love to play like he played in 2018-19. You think Harden, looking at all these other guys scoring 70, right? Looks at Cat, scores 62, Joel Embiid, 70, Luka, 73. James Harden in 2018-19 in January, when Chris Paul and Clint Capella went out of the lineup, was the best player in the NBA by far, and he was putting up 45 a night in January that season. You don't think that James Harden could put up 80 in today's NBA? I believe that James Harden looks at all these other players and he goes, man, I know I can do that, but he's not supposed to do that on this team. He's not supposed to have a 30% usage percentage on this Clippers team. And if he slots into his role nicely, which in fact he is right now with the Clippers, as a ball handling point guard who is creating and playmaking for the rest of his teammates and not being this huge scorer. Because tonight, look at James Harden's stat line tonight. He was 2 of 11. 2 of 11. Any former team James Harden is on, if he's 2 of 11, they're done. They're absolutely done. But James Harden tonight, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and he's almost not, it's not the same in their play style, but it's almost that same Drew Holiday-esque type of role where we see Holiday's stat line every night and we go, oh, well, that's not exactly the full capability of Drew Holiday, but that is a solid stat line. He had a solid game, and his all-around performance was solid. Well, James Harden, he needs to be that solid character on this Clippers team because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're going to be your main parts. And James Harden, if he's ever asked to score in crucial moments, we all know he can do that. But within his role on this team, it's about playmaking for others and being that high IQ passer that we all know James Harden is. And I truly believe him in that role on this team, this is all of a sudden shaping up to be the perfect situation for him. Looking at what he was in before in Philadelphia, I don't exactly believe Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, James Harden, were they ever on the same brain path of what they were trying to do, especially with Tyrese Maxey emerging within that organization? I don't think so. Right now, James Harden, he knows within this organization, they have a chance to win a championship. They're going into an arena, a new arena next year where they won't have to share an arena with the Lakers, and the Clippers inevitably over time will begin to build their own brand name in Los Angeles, especially harboring all these stars. And imagine if they win a championship this year, for real. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard winning a championship on the same team in Los Angeles, going into a new arena next in the next year. I don't personally. I know I'm a Celtics fan. This might be a little biased. I'm just saying. But could the Clippers ever one day take the narrative from the Lakers in Los Angeles? I know it seems impossible, but a century ago, no one was talking about the Lakers in Los Angeles because they weren't even there yet. They weren't even a basketball team yet. And when they were the Minneapolis Lakers. So why can't the Clippers put up, say, 40 years or 50 years of dominance per se or championships throughout every decade, starting with this decade? Say it starts with James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook. And Of course, Daniel Tice, can't forget our boy Daniel Tice out there, man, our former Celtic. But imagine it does start with them. This is this is to me the perfect situation to sacrifice for, and I believe with all these star names on the Clippers roster and the sacrifice that each star is showing the ability right now and willingness to put forth, it's ultra impressive. It really is, and they have a lot of size. Going down the list, Russell Westbrook, he's playing a perfect bench role. I know he was 2 of 9 tonight, but he is playing a perfect bench role to where he can come in and be aggressive and not be a huge, huge factor within a team's operation, because I think that's what we've seen in the past. Teams gotten in trouble for playing Russell Westbrook, whether he was in Washington or whether he's with the Lakers. We've seen this. He's not exactly the greatest or most efficient player, rather. He's not exactly, I was going to harp on his winning, but in terms of just the pure numbers and efficiency, that's why he's not exactly a winning player. You cannot slot him into a lineup and expect him to be efficient under high usage. But under a lower usage, like he's playing with this Clippers team off the bench, Russell Westbrook, that is, I believe in his abilities way more than I would have, or I did rather, on the Lakers. And he's, of course, part of the equation for them. I do want to talk about their big man core, though. Zubac is not even in the lineup. And they went to town on the Celtics tonight in the paint. Looking at points in the paint for the Celtics and the Clippers in this game, it wasn't even close throughout the night. Not even close at all. And points in the paint, the final total was 64 to 48. And a big part of that was James Harden running the pick and roll super efficiently with his big guys, Mason Plumlee, and of course, Daniel Tice. But those big guys, too, just getting into the paint, being aggressive, and letting their presence be known. Daniel Tice and Mason Plumlee, the, them playing this well with the Clippers and Zubac being out the lineup, those are three legitimate big guys you can bring into the playoffs and feel comfortable playing, because look at all of them. They all have playoff experience. Zubac has playoff experience with the Clippers, Tice with the Celtics, and of course Plumlee, he has playoff experience as well with the Nuggets in the past. So, and I believe with the Blazers, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So all of these big guys that the Clippers are harboring, along with their star players who I just rambled through, Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, Westbrook, these big guys are legitimate veteran, experienced big guys who can come in, present size, and make the right play on either end of the floor. And let's talk about their versatility too. Daniel Tice, he's legitimate floor stretching big for them who can come out to the perimeter and defend a little bit. Plumlee, he's a guy who, yes, you'd probably want to get the mismatch on him if you're looking at anybody. If you're wanting to get the mismatch on anybody on the Clippers, it's probably going to be Plumlee on the perimeter, but he's not terrible on the perimeter, and he's good at recovery. And Zubac, too, when he comes back in the lineup, he's their best big, and usually they're starting big. And he's somebody who is super physical in the rebounding department and in the pick and roll with Harden. They're going to be super deadly when he comes back. And the size and physicality they showed tonight against the Celtics, absolutely insane to see, knowing that they still have their starting center coming back. So going down the list, Norman Powell is still there too. Don't even talk about him too much because, I mean, look at the rest of this team we're talking about, but he is going to be a contributing factor. He was only 2 of 7, and that's kind of the weird part about this game for the Celtics tonight is that you look at the Clippers roster, not a lot of guys shot too well tonight, but if you really watch this game, the Celtics were dominated. They were dominated in every aspect of this game, whether it was defensively, whether it was offensively, and in transition as well. The transition was stark tonight. It really was. The Clippers, every opportunity they had, they were running the floor, and the Celtics, they just could not catch up to the Clippers in any manner whatsoever. And furthermore, down on this Clippers roster, don't really know which players I want to get into here, because I do want to give a shout out to Amir Coffey, because I talked about Amir Coffey pre-draft. Maybe I believe it was 2018, maybe 2019. Not really sure which year. I know he did pre-draft workouts, but he might not have been I believe he was undrafted, but he might not have actually put himself into the draft till the next year. But he was in this game tonight. He's 4 of 9. He played 26 minutes. I'm really happy to see him getting around with this Clippers team. Brandon Boston, of course, Bones Highland, Kobe Brown, they all played garbage time minutes for the most part. And Brandon Boston, it's a little strange to see, even though the rest of this Clippers team dominated the Celtics. Brandon Boston a couple of years ago, I don't know if people remember the 2020-21 season, the Celtics went out to Los Angeles, and Brandon Boston, he ended up being the player who absolutely crushed the Celtics on the West Coast that night. And that was really just it was just another low point. Oh no, actually that was 21-22. That was right after 2021. That was not a low point in that season. It was the next season. It was a low point in terms of where the Celtics would eventually go to the finals that year. But 2 years ago, he was a player. He was a player getting after the Celtics, and he only played garbage time tonight for the Clippers. Looking at the Celtics, though, jutting over to their box score real quick before we get on to some of the breakdowns. The Celtics, first of all, let's disclaim this for them before we talk about the entire squad. Kristaps Porzingis did not play tonight. I think they could have used him in this matchup for sure, because there were moments in this game where Al Horford and Luke Kornet, probably not the two best players to match up with this Clippers squad and the versatility they have. And I thought at times the Celtics, they simply just lacked the versatility that Kristaps Porzingis could have brought to the floor if he were available. We all saw him sprain his ankle in Miami a couple of nights ago. Not too concerned about that. He was walking to the bus just fine. He was walking around the bench just fine after the game. And this really just seemed to be a precautionary measure. There's only 1 day's worth of rest, rather, coming back from that Miami game. And now you give him really 3-4 days rest going into the next game. So that to me is a precautionary measure for Kristaps Porzingis. However, he's not available tonight in this contest against the Clippers, and I think the effects are shown. It's really evident to me that at times Al Horford and Cornette, they were being picked apart, especially James Harden being the high IQ playmaker he is. They were absolutely picked apart in situations where they had to go and defend the perimeter, or they had to go and cover somebody who isn't exactly their size or isn't exactly their build. The point where you're looking at it and going, "Yep, that's a major mismatch right there." And I thought the Celtics, there were a lot of moments where they were playing zone, and the Clippers did a good job of making two guys defend one guy, where it would leave one person wide open on the Clippers, or having somebody, we'll see in some of these breakdowns, where somebody is just essentially guarding no one at all. And it's all due to the IQ of the Clippers and some of the positioning and awareness and engagement of the Celtics as well. But going down the stat sheet for the Celtics tonight, oh man, oh man. First off, let's disclaim this. Actually, this is what I want to disclaim. I forgot about it. No player of the game tonight. No player of the game, because I'm sorry, a player of the game doesn't exist. I mean, you could say Cornette, maybe, but come on. This game was the worst game of the season for the Celtics. And even if you wanted to give it to Tatum, who had 21 points tonight on 8 of 18 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He also had 11 rebounds. If you wanted to give it to Tatum, sure. But it wasn't even his best game, and it wasn't even his best game by far. And looking for a good part of this game, especially when the Celtics were being blown out, I thought Tatum was just simply forcing the issue, and he wasn't exactly part of, oh, we're coming back into this game. He was part of the problem of, we can't come back in this game. And so I didn't feel comfortable giving it to him tonight. Cornette, I would say, is really the one player. He shot 5 of 10. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds. But I just don't see a player of the game during performances like this. If you get whooped on your home floor, or just get whooped in general, and it's just kind of a shrug game at some point, I don't believe the team deserves a player of the game. Now, Celtics Talk Weekly here. We do player of the game typically every game. Now, I'm Celtics every day, though, on Instagram. Back in the day when I did player of the game, I was doing final score graphics every game. Don't necessarily do those on Instagram anymore. Just come on here. Look, folks, the score is right here. I never did player of the game when we lost. None whatsoever. And this is sometimes why. Jason Tatum is like, you're really going to give him 21-point performance in a blowout? You're going to give Cornette? But look at the rest of the team. Jaylen Brown, 3 of 13. 3 of 13. 8 points tonight, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. And 2 of those buckets, the 8 points, not good shots. Not good shots. Just let's simply lay it out there. They weren't good at all. Al Horford and Derek White. Rough. 0 of 13. 0 of 13. 0 of 8 between the two of them. And 0 of 5 for Al. 0 of 8 for Derek White. Does this kill Derek White's all-star conversation? Does it? Does it kill Derek White's all-star conversation? I'm asking everybody out there right now. Does it kill his all-star conversation? Because 2 points against the Clippers, 0 of 8, 0 of 4, and three blocks, but 2 rebounds, 2 assists. So 2-2-2, triple-double for Derek White tonight, but not the triple-double you want. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists for Derek White on the night. 3 blocks, though. 0 of 8, 0 of 4. This may have killed his all-star conversation. I don't know. Maybe. This game against the Clippers, if you're coming in facing a contending squad like the Los Angeles Clippers, you put up this kind of performance, does it kill Derek White's all-star conversation? Potentially. Drew Holiday, 2 of 11, 1 of 7 from 3. 2 of 11 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3, 7 points on the night. Sam Hauser, 2 of 6. Going further down, Peyton Pritchard, he's another player maybe, but I thought this is a matchup you can't use Peyton Pritchard in. You simply can't. You can't. Because Peyton Pritchard is 6 foot. And there were possessions at the end of the third quarter where the Celtics game was completely out of hand. And I believe Joe Mazzulla was really just looking for new looks out there. He was just throwing the kitchen sink out there, whatever. Go play out there, go cover minutes. Let's see if this works, right? Well, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser was thrown out there. The first play that we saw out of the timeout, Kawhi Leonard mismatch, Peyton Pritchard spin move right into Cornette, right in his face, and I believe Sam Hauser was right there to witness as well. So this is not a matchup that you can even use Peyton Pritchard in, but he did have 12 points, did rack up some garbage time tonight, unfortunately, near the end. O'Shea Brissett, he was 2 of 5, played 16 minutes tonight. The rest of these guys were really part of the garbage time tangent. Keita, Banton, Mikhailuk, Stevens. I thought Stevens' hustle at times was quite good in the later portions of the game when the game was just completely over. I really like to see that out of a player when they come in and the game clearly out of reach and they don't try to cool bro it, right? I don't think we have a lot of cool bros on this team. I think we've seen teams in the past, like I sometimes picture the Milwaukee Bucks where they might have a blowout. Some of their guys come out. And I know we think of Thanasis in the situation, but some of their other players, not naming guys exactly, but they might just cool bro it. They might come out there and go, we're up 30. Yeah, let's just get up our shots. Let's get out. But I thought Lamar Stevens, and I even think the Celtics bench squad in total, they come in and they play hard in any situation, any opportunity they're given. And that's what you want to see out of players trying to make more NBA rosters in the future. Because, yes, they made the roster this year with the Celtics, but none of these players are guaranteed to make any roster past this season or even stay on this roster past February. So to come in and play hard, I thought Lamar Stevens, he was 3 of 4, had 7 minutes, 8 points. Played. I thought he was nice when he came in. Svi Mikhailuk was 2 of 5, Ben 1 of 4, Keita he was 4 of 4, and Keita unfortunately He was really the only Celtic it felt like was getting into the paint. And that was later on in the game. Well, after the game was decided. And this overall, looking at the circumstances, Clippers' second night of a back to back, Celtics coming home after a 3-game set where they win all 3 games. I mean, can't be too mad about that. Well, they win all 3 games. And they just dropped this one in horrific fashion. Now, if they dropped this one by 2 points like they did to Denver, I came on here when we played Denver, and yes, that could be considered a horrific loss, but we had one more 3 in that game. Fine, we win that game. We win 103-102. We had one more 3. The margin is so close. If Kristaps Porzingis isn't called for an offensive rebounding foul or an over the back foul, trying to grab an offensive rebound, we win that game likely against the Nuggets. And that's a game where it's like, okay, this is explainable. We played well. It's all right. Well, this one tonight against the Clippers, there's no explanation for why the Celtics were so bad. And some of it is really effort. And I do want to get into it with some of these plays here. And I'm debating on how to bring these up here because they're inevitably going to be a little bit out of order because, wait, let's get these glasses on so we're a little clear here. Okay, so dang. First play, I think we have Harden here. Let's bring him up. Let's hope we don't get completely. Okay, nice. This is a good start. This is a nice start for us, I will say. All right, so on this play here, let's take a breather real quick because okay, on this play. So Harden has the ball, right, near midcourt, kind of near the wing, midcourt, coming across half court. And the Celtics defense, they recognize what's happening right here. Mason Plumlee is coming up and likely going to set a screen on Jason Tatum, who is on James Harden. And under this circumstance, Al Horford, what they're trying to do is get the switch on Al Horford. So what the Celtics are going to try to do here is prevent this switch from happening, right? They don't want Plumlee setting the screen on Jason Tatum and having Horford follow him up there and be switched onto Harden and that circumstance play out, right? Well, you see Drew Holiday, he's communicating to Paul George there in the corner. Well, not communicating to Paul George, but pointing to Horford or to White. I can't exactly tell, honestly, on this play because we'll see it goes awry. Who's exactly supposed to be covering who? I would say that Brown likely is supposed to end up. You could easily say it's either going to be Horford or White covering Paul George. And essentially, they're going to have Holiday switch onto Plumlee before he goes and sets the screen on Tatum. So then they're going to have Holiday switched onto Harden. And then Tatum is going to be covering Plumlee, who he can cover with his height. But then in the corner, you're either going to have White or Horford, or you can have Brown cover man or Leonard, which it looks like he's more on Leonard. And then you could have White stick on man. And right here, the Celtics defense is just all out of whack. And they don't communicate it correctly, reacts late. Drew Holiday, James Harden notices all of this, right? Drew Holiday comes up towards him. James Harden notices everyone reacts a tad bit late. And let's bring up this next one here if we can. I don't know, or can we get it up here? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so yep, James Harden. It's up on your guys' screen. It didn't pop up on mine, but James Harden just flings this pass over because Al Horford is reacting late and Drew Holiday is pretty well in no man's land and Paul George is wide open in the corner and you pretty well see 3 guys scrambling all the way over to Paul George. So under this circumstance right here, even when they reacted, when this ball was swung over to Paul George. All three, all three of Horford, Holiday, and White, they swung over to Paul George. And under the circumstance, you have Brown covering two guys in Man and Kawhi Leonard. So whether or not they were they were covering this in this particular situation, were able to recover in this situation, they would have been completely broke down. But this ended in a Paul George 3. Moving on to the next one, we see some of these. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just completely blind and cannot see which play I'm bringing up here. Okay, so on this play, this is kind of what I was talking about and getting at earlier with how the Celtics, they were left in a lot of situations where two guys are defending one person, or essentially you have a guy defending nobody. And right here, the Celtics are in a box and one zone. And so I don't know if you guys can see, but Kawhi Leonard, he's kind of nuzzled behind he's, I can't actually tell which player that is behind the 50 right there on the Clippers, right? But White has him, Horford has man on the corner, Tatum has Paul George, and Brown has Kawhi Leonard. Under this circumstance, this Drew Holiday is defending nobody. Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday are essentially defending the same man. What needs to happen here is Horford needs to come up and tag Plumlee, who is coming down and cutting, because this ends in a wide open Plumlee basket. That's what happens. Look, he is wide open coming down the lane. Horford needs to come up and put a body on Plumlee. And Drew Holiday is supposed to be on Kawhi Leonard at the top of the key, and Jaylen Brown needs to slide over and be on Harden, who's behind the 50. Yeah, I believe that's Harden behind the 50. Couldn't get his name right the first time around. Couldn't tell who it was. And then you have Derek White drop down to man. So that is how the defensive rotation should work right there. But essentially, the Celtics, you're just left in a spot where Drew Holiday is defending nobody. Drew Holiday is defending nobody. Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, they're defending the same man. Plumlee's coming down the lane uninterrupted, and the Celtics on this defensive coverage right here, just complete failure. Complete failure. On to the next one here. Okay, so this one is particularly frustrating because look, okay, so Jason Tatum shoots. We're actually going to bring this one up first. So Jason Tatum's shooting the ball right here. Okay? And you see Paul George contesting him, Jaylen Brown in the corner, and Al Horford at the top of the key. Look at where the Clippers are, right? Look at where Drew Holiday is crashing. He's the only Celtic crashing in this circumstance. I want to point that out. The only Celtic crashing. Well, watch Jaylen Brown right here, okay? Watch Jaylen Brown. You go, just progress this over a little bit. Doesn't crash the boards at all. Horford doesn't crash. White isn't crashing at all either. No one crashes, right? Everyone's just staring. Let's move on to the next play. Where is Jaylen Brown? Where is Al Horford? They haven't moved. They haven't moved. Move. Either crash the glass or get back in transition. They haven't moved. Look at their feet. Look at Terrence Mann. Look at Plumlee. Look at Kawhi Leonard. Look at James Harden. Look at Paul George. Paul George is not even on the screen. He is sprinting down the court. And look at Tatum. Look at Horford. Look at Brown. Look at their feet. What are they staring at? What are they staring at? What are they absolutely staring at in this particular situation? If you're not crashing the glass, if you're not getting back in transition, what are you doing? What are you doing? And look at the score. Look at the score. And this is what this ends in, of course. Oh, not me. There you go. Yep. Al Horford essentially needing to make a Stephon Gilmore type of play, which I I I guess you guys can guess what this ended in. A bucket, right? Come on. Absolutely ridiculous. And then this one, let's go to this one. This one's just pretty easy for anyone right here. Al Horford, pick the Celtics, just pick what you're going to do right here. Pick what you're going to do. The Celtics in this situation are left floating in no man's land. Tatum is taking too long to recover in this situation. And under those circumstances, you either need to switch this and have Tatum cover the pass to the lane and have Horford switch on to Harden, or Horford needs to attack this and really hedge this, and Tatum needs to recover, and Horford needs to be on Plumlee as he's rolling. Instead, Tatum isn't recovering, and Horford is essentially left in no man's land. And the spacing for the Clippers here, this is what they want. This is what they want. Look at the spacing. Look at the open lane, and look at the options too off of this. This ended in a bucket at the rim on a lob. Okay, it ended in a lob, but the options that they had off this play, Terrence Mann, they could have had Kawhi Leonard right under the rim. If that breaks down, you have Paul George in the corner right there. And yeah, this is what it ends in right here, the lob. But the Celtics, that's just bad defense. That's just bad positioning. It's bad help. And really on ball defense as well. Let's see what else we can cover here. I don't know if I went through every single play yet. I went through this one earlier, and I thought I didn't go through this specific screenshot exactly, but Mason Plumlee does a nice job of cutting down and tagging Brown to where Brown essentially plays that side of the floor and is like essentially knocked off where he's supposed to be rotating towards, because he's supposed to be going right. Like the way this is shaping up, Jaylen Brown should be rotating to the right. Instead, Plumlee nudges him, and where's he going? He's going to the left. So, little nice play there by Plumlee. Let's see if we have any other plays here. Same one. Oh, hello, folks. All right, that was the first one we went through. I think we might have gone through all of them. We might be. Oh no, we have the last one. Transition. We're gonna go through here. Okay, so this one is a little egregious. Okay, so sprinting back in transition under the circumstance. Look at the numbers. This is a 4-on-4 essentially right here. And the Celtics are surely behind because look at where Drew Holiday is, but he's not in terrible position. And I want to point this out too. Drew Holiday as a guard should be faster than Mason Plumlee, the center, who's coming off of sitting down for 2 months with a sprained MCL. That's just the reality, right? Well, as this play progresses, you see what happens here. Drew Holiday cannot catch up to this play, and essentially Derek White falls behind this play as well. He's aligned with Terrence Mann. In this circumstance, if you're the Celtics, you need to put pressure on the ball, and you need to cover every single cutter going towards the basket. Because right here, Terrence Mann, he's going towards the basket. Plumlee, he's going towards the basket. All right. Harden, he has the ball. Tatum is backpedaling. Horford, he's not exactly sprinting back. He's kind of like in between, right? Under this circumstance, the Celtics, they essentially should be taking away, Derek White should be taking away this lob, which happens eventually. Horford to Plumlee and Tatum to the ball, and Holiday sprinting over to the corner. In my mind of how you would cover this, efficiently, the most efficiently, and this ends in a lob attempt for the Clippers. I mean, look at this. Al Horford. Al Horford's not defending. I mean, I should say, Al Horford, he's in an all right position here to take away Plumlee, but he's kind of split in between Harden and Mann. And under the circumstance, White has to get back. Drew Holiday, it makes no sense as to why he is this far still behind the play at all. And in my mind, no one stopped the ball. Look, no one stopped the ball here. No one. Al Horford, Plumlee, Tatum went to the corner. Tatum needs to take the ball here, in my mind. If you're looking at it, how this play is developing, Tatum needs to take the ball. Ball pressure right here. Horford, take away Plumlee cutting. White, sprint to man. And Holiday. Holiday should be sprinting towards the corner. And to me, Holiday should be faster than Mason Plumlee. All right? And instead, this ends like this. It ends like this. Nobody stopped the ball. And the lob was not taken away either because Horford is essentially stuck in no man's land because he's taken away Plumlee. So those are some of the problems with the Celtics tonight. And hopefully we didn't get in trouble for showing all of these on YouTube. And I believe the deliverance in that will probably be better next time. First time ever doing that. So we'll see. But my goodness, this game for the Celtics, a lot of problems. And I don't, here, let's take a breather. Let's take a breather real quick. Been talking for a while. Let's take a little bit of a breather. These issues for the Celtics, I was really thinking that this team, I'm not sure who's challenging them, right? Okay. It's not as if there won't be challengers because every year there are. But I was thinking a couple weeks ago, man, there aren't too many challengers of the Celtics out here. They're playing really well. They're playing in a lot of aspects really well, whether it's rebounding, whether it's playing in transition, whether it's picking the spots on the floor to effectively attack with whoever's in the lineup. All of that for the Celtics, I believe, it was at an all-time high in December, and the team is playing super efficiently in spots where you would expect, oh yeah, they might drop a game here, they might drop a game there, and they just weren't. Yet now we look in January and we're starting to put up these rough patches. Because let's go through the schedule real quick. Okay? In January, just to start off, the first game in January, we lost to the Thunder. All right? And then we went and absolutely whooped the Utah Jazz. We whooped the Indiana Pacers at their place. And that was a game where Kristaps Porzingis went out. Just want to point that out real quick because Kristaps Porzingis was not in tonight. Some people may make that excuse. Wasn't in that Indiana game either, but we came out with that victory. The next game in Indiana, we're completely hosed. People can say whatever they want about that one. The next game, we beat Minnesota barely, and this is where we really avoided a 3-game losing streak because we nearly lost that Minnesota game. Pulled it out in overtime at home. That was really one of the best wins of the season in terms of overcoming adversity. And that prevents a 3-game losing streak because the next game we're absolutely whooped by the Milwaukee Bucks. So no 3-game losing streak to harp on. But that Minnesota game was not exactly one the Celtics dominated, and they had to come back, although impressive in itself. They go on a 3-game winning streak against the Rockets, Raptors, Spurs. Those are all teams the Celtics should beat. Rockets, Raptors, Spurs, 2 of them at home, and really 2 of them they really took care of business with. And that's a 3-game winning streak, but not really coming against any teams that we're fearing necessarily, and all teams the Celtics should take care of, and glad that they did. Well, they play the Nuggets. They lose to the Nuggets by 2, and that's really what's preventing a 7-game winning streak being snapped tonight by the Los Angeles Clippers. But that game, the Celtics do not exactly look optimal in whatsoever. In some of these other games, too, Toronto, not the best game in the world. The Toronto, not the best game in the world. You blow out San Antonio. That one's expected. They're an awful team. Denver, they don't play their best basketball. And then the 3 game set, they don't play their best basketball until Miami. And that's when they shoot 55% from three and nearly 70% for the entire game. And then tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers, they're absolutely punked. The Celtics are punked on their home floor. Okay? Punked by the Los Angeles Clippers at home. And to me, I there's still a lot of data to be mowed through. Okay. A lot of games coming up. You have the Pelicans on Monday. We'll be here covering that for y'all. Hope to have more people on the broadcast for the Pelicans game on Monday. A lot of I think that's an interesting team coming to the Garden. Usually somebody's always out for the Pelicans every time we face them, but maybe finally we'll face them semi healthy, right? We'll see if Porzingis does play that game. Pelicans are coming up, Pacers, Lakers. Then you have a little bit of a weak spot, okay? All of these games are at home, by the way. I should mention this ahead of time. This is a 7-game homestand. This is the first game of a 7-game homestand. There's still a lot of data to be put up here. Pelicans, Pacers, Lakers. Those are going to be 3 tough games coming up this week at home. But then you have a little bit of a soft spot, the back end, and that is the Grizzlies, the Hawks. The Hawks have a historically bad defense. Okay, I do expect the Celtics to come out and dominate that game against the Atlanta Hawks at home. And then the Wizards. So that's a little bit of a soft spot. Little bit, right? Little bit in the schedule, you'd think. But the Celtics have to take care of business before that. And right now, I think we're seeing a little bit of these patches where it's like, okay, I can see that we're moving in the right direction in these particular areas. I can see that we're pulling out W after W after W, right? Because that is the main point, is that we are winning a lot of these games. But in the fashion in which we're doing them and some of the L's in which we're sustaining in between, we're supposed to lose games every now and then. We are. But right now, it just feels like we cannot get that consistent streak going. We can't get that consistent streak of just looking great for 2.5 weeks, in which we did in December. And I know that's a lot to ask from a basketball team, but the streaks right now, it's like, okay, we're putting up essentially in the last month. So we have 5 losses. We're 1, 2, 3. Let's see. We have oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 9-5. We're 9-5 with 2 games to go in January. So to me, it's like, okay, it's not amazing. It's like not amazing. And we are pulling out the W's in which we should pull out. We do have a couple of good W's in here. And there are a couple of terrible W's. We lost to the Bucks. We lost to the Clippers. We lost to the Denver Nuggets. Some of them are not as terrible as the others due to the circumstances. We lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder. All of these teams. We lost to the Pacers. These are all competitive teams. And I do want to see the Celtics perform in these spots a little better, because tonight I know Kristaps Porzingis was out of the lineup, and I did mention earlier that, look, Kristaps Porzingis, if he is in this game, I believe that the Celtics have way more of a chance tonight, because there are a lot of coverages, there are a lot of looks. We went through a lot of defensive looks where if you have Kristaps Porzingis reacting to a corner 3, we went through the play where they're essentially trying to get Harden off of, they're essentially trying to get Horford off of the potential switch with Harden, and Horford reacts late and he can't defend Paul George in the corner. Well, if you have Porzingis in that situation, is he going to react as late? Are they even going to try to get him off that switch? There are questions like that within coverages and offensively too, stretching the floor and who you're afraid of, that I think would have given the Celtics a better chance if answered with Porzingis in the lineup tonight. But That is not the case. Celtics, this score, I look down at it and people might go, like Saturday night, come back home. They look at the score, they go, wow, Clippers beat us. Dang. Got a little out of hand near the end. No, this was an absolute beatdown. It was an absolute beatdown. I mean, 36-point lead was the biggest lead in this game for the Clippers. I mean, come on. This was an absolute beatdown by every metric, and it didn't matter to me if Porzingis was in the lineup or not. Did he affect things? Yes, it did. But you can't let this type of performance transpire on your home floor if you're the Boston Celtics and if you're looking to be a competitive team all the way through towards the end of the season in the playoffs and, of course, going towards the championship. And I mentioned it earlier with this Clippers team. I think they're legit. I was kind of holding out a little bit on them, just a little bit, because I was part of the camp. Let's get rid of this laptop here so we can talk to the camera. All right. So I was thinking back in November, December, when the Clippers acquired James Harden, I was in the camp of this is not going to work in any manner whatsoever. The Clippers with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, this isn't going to work. I mean, James Harden, he's not going to show up to the playoffs. He's not going to be aggressive. He's not going to be willing to accept his role. He's not going to be properly engaged every single night for this team to go and win a championship. That is what I thought about this Clippers team, okay? Back in November and December. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. James Harden, he's playing perfectly with this Clippers squad. I don't think he's disgruntled at all about his role within their current offense, within their current structure of how the team runs. I mentioned it earlier with him, how this is essentially the perfect situation for him, playing next to other star players, playing at what will potentially be the start of a legacy for the Los Angeles Clippers, moving in to a new dome, a new arena if they do win the championship this year. All of what they're showing me right now, Kawhi Leonard being back to his former self, Paul George accepting his role, Russell Westbrook accepting his role off the bench. And let's mention this too, Tyronn Lue. He's no pushover head coach, folks. We saw him coach up the Cavs in the 2018 finals, or Eastern Conference finals, rather, against the Celtics with LeBron James on the roster. He had a spectacular series in that Eastern Conference final series against the Celtics, in which the Celtics, I still believe the Celtics were the better team that year, but because of LeBron, because of a couple players stepping up for the Cavs, and of course Tyronn Lue being the head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he put on a masterclass that series. And with this Clippers team, we've seen a couple of nice coaching moments from him, and to be with this squad and to know how to manage all of those star personalities. I think this Clippers team from the top to the bottom, they have a lot to offer in terms of their overall contention potentially later on down the line in the playoffs. I don't think that this is going to be a squad that flames out in round one or flames out in round two. I think this is a squad that we could potentially see in the conference finals next to the Denver Nuggets playing for a spot in the NBA finals. And it's not going to be one of those series where, yeah, the Lakers as a 7th seed, yeah, they made it to the conference finals, but this is where it ends. Or, oh, yeah, the Clippers made it here, but barely. This is where it ends. I don't see it. I could see this Clippers team playing in the NBA finals this year. And I was holding off on it just a little bit because there's still a chance that someone gets hurt. Maybe a story comes out later on down the line. Somebody's not happy with their role. But I think with what they have right now, how they're playing, the wins they're putting up on the board, this is a nice win for the Clippers. Second night of a back-to-back against the Boston Celtics on the TD Garden floor, and you come out and you have fun in that manner. I mean, the Clippers, they were having fun, okay? That was a fun basketball team to watch. And not only were they having fun dominating the Celtics, they were playing pissed off Okay, they were playing absolutely pissed off because they've been told, like, look, I was in the camp. I was in the camp of, I don't see it with this team. I really don't see it. They were being told that by everyone around them on social media. And obviously within their circles, they're not surrounding themselves with voices like that. But anytime you're out in a public sphere anywhere, the Clippers are being told, you're not, this isn't going to work with James Harden. You're not the team. I know you guys have a bunch of talent, right? You guys have all these star players that would have been nice together in 2015, but in 2024, I don't see it with you guys. Well, the Clippers have everyone telling themselves that. I see a team right now that's pissed. I see a team right now that goes, look, I don't care what I have to do. I'm James Harden. I'm Paul George. I'm Kawhi Leonard. I'm Russell Westbrook. I don't care what I have to do to sacrifice for us to win because F all the haters. F all the haters. That's what I see out of this Clippers team right now. And I think the rest of the league, the Celtics and the Celtics fan base, I think we should be put on notice because we were looking at, yeah, in the Eastern Conference, we're looking at teams always, right? Sixers, Heat, Bucks. Those are the teams that we're going to be looking at in terms of going to the finals in the Eastern Conference, having to get through them. The Knicks, too. I'm going to throw out the Knicks. The Knicks look amazing right now. All they're going to be a part of that. Bucks, Sixers, Heat, the Knicks as well. I'm going to shuffle them into that group and make them a group of four. That's going to have to, those are going to have to be the teams the Celtics have to go through in the Eastern Conference. But looking out west, right? Because the Celtics do have the capability to make it all the way to the NBA Finals if they go through all these Eastern Conference teams. Look out west. I was looking at the Denver Nuggets. The Lakers aren't they're no this year, but the Clippers, the Clippers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Timberwolves, those are we'll see what happens with them at the deadline. We'll see if they add on. I think they need a couple more pieces, but the Clippers look like a team right now. The Clippers look like a team. And what's unfortunate is the top four teams out west, if you're really looking at it for the contention, the Nuggets, the Celtics lost to. The Clippers, the Celtics lost to. The Timberwolves, the Celtics lost to. The Thunder, the Celtics lost to. Eastern Conference, a little bit of a different story. I mean, the Sixers, the Celtics lost to. The Bucks, the Celtics lost to. The Heat, not so much. We got the Miami Heat covered. That's great. But all these other teams, the Celtics have lost to them once. And I think the Clippers, they definitely put us on notice that this is if the Celtics do make it to June, which is still very much a possibility, not overreacting and saying, oh my goodness, the Celtics aren't on the same level as all these other teams. Not doing that tonight, okay? Not doing that whatsoever. But this is a team the Celtics have to face later on down the line. It's not going to be, we're good. We got the championship under wrap. We should we should come out with this old guy squad. Come on, no, this is a legit title contending team in the Los Angeles Clippers, and I think the Celtics were very much made aware of that tonight. I don't know if I want to keep rambling on about this game because I think the Celtics are going to play a much better game on Monday, and I think this game is a little bit concerning, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Porzingis didn't play. I think it's concerning from the standpoint of now you're 9-5 in January, and you're starting to put up these stretches where you don't look amazing. You don't look amazing because the Celtics, they have 11 losses on the season. 5 of them came this month. Came into this month with 6 losses. 5 of them come in this month, and the games in between have not looked great. They really haven't. There have been a couple where we're going, oh yeah, that's a really dominant performance in everything that the Celtics needed to do. But these performances have not been exactly optimal, a lot of them. And I believe that in this month, if you're really looking at where the Celtics are going right now, they have to put up better data if we want to keep being confident in them because we can't keep seeing these stretches of, oh, yeah, we are dominating the Raptors, Rockets, and Spurs. But then we go to face the Bucks, we go to face the Nuggets, we go to face the Clippers. It's like, we got to make up excuses for why the team is not performing. So in those circumstances, I do believe that, yes, we have given the team excuses because of circumstances, because of certain reasons. But this is one of the more unexcusable games of the entire season for the Celtics. And I do not want to see this trend continue where we win our next 2 or 3 games and then we drop another bad one to a contending team. Or say when we do have that soft spot in our schedule, say we do win the next 3 games against the Lakers, the Pacers, and the Pelicans, right? Those are 3 nice wins if we pull them out. I will not be complaining. But then if we go and lose a game to, say, the Grizzlies or the Wizards, right? Or the Hawks, which I literally just guaranteed. Justin, if you're watching, I just guaranteed a win like 10 minutes ago that we're going to beat the Hawks in 2 weeks. If we drop one of those games, it's going to add to the line of data that we see right now where we're going, okay, well, we can beat all the bad teams. We're beating up on all the bad teams. But when we face a good team, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see the dominance. I don't see the dominance. And I'm not saying that we should just roll through every good team out there and essentially be a team that wins every single game, because it's realistic that you're going to drop some games. And the Celtics, they're still 4 games over 500 this month. That's still the silver lining here. And they still have a lot of time from now to the end of the season and all-star break in front of them to put up a lot of good play. And let's face it too, the 2021-22 Celtics, they didn't really start rolling until late January. So right now, Royal Rumble was tonight, okay? Last 2 years ago, sorry, not last Royal Rumble, but 2 years ago, right? Royal Rumble, when that happened, right? The Pelicans and the Celtics faced off, and that wasn't exactly the turning point. You could say there were a lot of turning points, right? But the Celtics pulled out that game, and that's really when that was part of their rolling streak, right? Well, Royal Rumble was tonight, and the Celtics, I'm not saying this is the start of the season, but they dropped this one. There's still a lot of time, though, in front of them to make up for it. And I think from what we're seeing, though, is that there is an increased pressure to make up for this, because we don't want to keep seeing these type of losses on the schedule. We just simply don't. I came on here for a month and a half, 2 months, saying, oh my goodness, we've never had a blowout loss. Well, in the last 2 weeks, we've had 2. We've had another bad loss at home, even though it was only 2 points. Could have won the game, but in terms of how we played, didn't really feel confident in our identity offensively down the stretch compared to Denver in that Friday night game on the parquet floor. We'll see what transpires, though, moving forward, especially here on this post-game show, because we will have you covered here on Monday against the New Orleans Pelicans when the Celtics, they play a second game of a 7. They have 6 more games left on their homestand, but a 7-game homestand right now the Celtics are on, and they play the second game on Monday against the New Orleans Pelicans. I will be here along with some of my co-hosts tonight. A little bit of a hiatus from a couple of them on a Saturday night, especially this blowout loss to the Los Angeles Clippers. Man, Daniel Tice, I'm so glad Daniel Tice is on a title contending team. I don't know why the Indiana Pacers decided to get rid of him, but that may have been one of the more questionable decisions of the entire NBA season. Happy to see our guy, Daniel Vanilla Tice, work his way into an NBA rotation yet again and play for a title contender. He was spectacular with their team tonight, but we'll be back on here, Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show on Monday. And I feel like I'm just kind of sputtering here because I cannot find my ending screen. But there we go. All right. Well, guys, next time I'm on here, next time you see my face here, actually, we might actually go pop over to the IG Live real quick. Go do an IG Live about this game. Go hit the IG crowd. So can go take everybody over there. But right now, on YouTube, right? Next time, see our faces on here or my face. Hopefully, it's a better result, because this one tonight, this one, oh my goodness, Celtics. This one was rough, but that's all I have for you guys here tonight on the Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, aka Celtics Every Day on Instagram. And like I always say, go Celtics.